Good evening, everyone. We are live in the shed for another Wednesday night, an exciting night. That's if you help me here. So, we've decided that tonight is going to be a fun night. Taking a look at where we've been, always what's happening in the world, that it's a good time to take a break. It's the end of the summer. There's not a lot happening out there movie wise on Netflix. I'm definitely taking requests if anyone knows of what it is I should be watching. But we've been doing a lot of heavy stuff. We've been talking about fear. We've been talking about dreaming. And dreaming isn't a heavy subject, of course, but um, what is it that we're dreaming about? And it can feel a little tough right now to think about dreaming because we're still on lockdown. So we figured tonight was a great night to take a break and to have some fun. So I am hoping for some really great comments. Not seeing anything in my feed yet, but hopefully I'll get up live here. And so, how to start this off then? Tonight is all about engines of change. Engines of change that roar through your life. We all have engines of change, whether we like it or not. That's the way that life goes. But we thought that was a great subject for three reasons. The first being that Womanscape has released our Engines of Change. Engines of Change is our latest issue. It's volume 6. It is number 3 out of 4 magazines that we put out every year. And it's all about women and men who are driving change. So people that are, I'm looking at my great crowd out there. This is great. This is going to be a lot of fun. So let's talk about engines because tonight is a really good show. So the magazine, it's called Engines of Change. There is this beautiful Formula One car on the front of it. You're going to get a chance to see it. If you are part of our newsletter crew, then you're going to see it on Sunday. So if you have not subscribed, make sure that you do. So that's number 1. We're talking about Engines of Change because we've featured women in there that are all about change. So they create change in a variety of ways. And I'm going to circle back to what those variety of ways are. So in order to make this a little fun, I thought I would roar onto the screen with something I really loved. Last year at TIFF, that's the Toronto International Film Festival, I watched 2 screenings of a movie called Ford versus Ferrari. Love, love, love it. Even if you're not a car fan, it's an amazing movie for so many reasons that I'll talk about. So we're going to do a little screening of Ford versus Ferrari, show you a little trailer. I'm going to give you a little intro about it and why it is that I give it 2 massive thumbs up. It is definitely a Womanscape favorite. So without any further ado, we're going to roll Ford versus Ferrari and look at that as a metaphor for where we're at and all about life. So here we go. I've got a great crew here. Ta ta ta.
Look out there. Out there is the perfect lap. You see it?
I think so.
Most people can't.
Carol Shelby.
Maybe.
Lee Iacocca, Ford Motor. Suppose Henry Ford II wanted to build the greatest race car the world's ever seen to win the 24 hours of Le Mans. What's it take?
Well, it takes something money can't buy.
Money can buy speed.
What isn't about speed? You need a pure racer behind the wheel of your car. That's Ken Miles.
I don't trust him an inch.
We heard he's difficult.
No, Ken's a puppy dog.
No. Whatever it is, Shell, no.
Trust me.
You're gonna build a car to beat Ferrari with a Ford.
Correct.
And how long did you tell them that you needed? 200, 300 years?
90 days.
This isn't the first time Ford Motors has gone to war. We know how to do more than push paper. Go ahead, Carol. Go to war.
Thank you, sir.
Do you think you can beat Ferrari?
I can try.
We're lighter, we're faster. That don't work, we're nastier. We're gonna make history. You ready?
I was born ready, Mr. Shelby. Hit it.
Okay. Wow. All right. I think the trailer keeps going, but you've seen enough. Maybe it's a little bit long to show that whole trailer tonight, but you get the sense of what the movie's all about. So I'm going to highly recommend you go and see it. And I'll try not to do a spoiler at the end. But why do we love this? It's all about engines. And I'm not just talking racing cars, it's not just about driving fast cars. But I got to tell you, when I sat in the audience at TIFF, I had my hands on the side of my seat and I was truly like rocking back and forth with every single curve. And sorry, but it doesn't get any better than watching Matt Damon and Christian Bale. So Matt Damon plays a guy named Shelby, who Carroll Shelby, and it's a true story. And he's got a mechanic that works for Ford, and his name is Ken Miles, and Ken Miles is from Britain. So there's a little bit of tension. Ken kind of thinks everybody's an idiot and really doesn't know their way under the hood, other than Shelby, because Shelby's been a race car driver. He's had a couple of issues with his heart and he can't drive anymore. And Ken has always wanted to get behind the wheel. So when you see Christian Bale on screen, everything about him is like Ken, the real Ken. If you go and see pictures of 1966 and the Grand Le Mans race that takes place in France, and it runs over 24 hours. When you see these pictures of Ken, Christian has dropped, I think he dropped 25 pounds for this role. And we know Christian to do that. He's just that good. So he drops this weight. He embodies this character beautifully. And so the tension is really about what you heard in the trailer. The tension is about, can Ford, the motor company, beat Ferrari? And Ferrari is like the king. Ferrari is the king. And so a company that's from North America on the other side of the pond going and doing this is kind of unheard of. So, of course, Ford has set up a deal to beat Ferrari, and they offer to buy the Ferrari team, the Formula One vehicle, before they rush to build their own. And Ferrari signs on. And then when they find out they can't be in the pit crew and that North America, the Americans, are going to run it, that's when they bail. So Ford is Lee Iacocca. This is his big moment in history as the head of Ford. He'll go down in America as one of the greatest industrialists that's, just made so much money and took the Ford engine to a whole new level in the 1960s. So, what do I love about this movie? Yes, I love the fast cars. I really do. I love speed. If there's a roller coaster out there, I am going to be on that roller coaster. Hi, Elizabeth. And you guys let me know as I'm talking away here whether or not you like these kind of car movies or if you like are so not into them or not. But what I love about them is this movie, for all the fast cars and the drama around the track, it's really about people. It's a plot about these two guys. One's a Brit, one's American. Can they get along? Can they work together to compete and beat kind of the mutual competition? And so, in many ways, I think that's, hey there, Erica. I think that definitely is something that we can all identify with in life, right? Everything is about speed. How fast can we get a product to market? How fast can you answer all your emails in your box? How fast can you get things done to do whatever it is you got to do? And if you're not busy, somehow that's kind of, well, they're not busy. Is that kind of uncool? And I don't think so at all. And I think COVID has certainly put a brake on things, hasn't it? But that's really about the drama in the movie, whether or not these two guys can get together and compete. And this race is phenomenal. And I know Erica's pointing out here that Carroll Shelby is a legend. He really is a legend. Anyone that does love cars, you'll see the Ford GT Mustang. It's a Shelby, that model that's pretty cool, and it goes super fast. So I do love speed. I love cars. I love the aerodynamics of the design. One of the things in our magazine is about a woman who actually gets in and starts designing cars. And I noticed in an article about Mercedes Benz that more women are getting into the design of cars. And I think that's super smart. I don't know about you, but I hate not having a great cup holder. I hate when I have no place to put my purse. I hate when I go to touch the dash and move around the nav and I'm hitting all these other buttons. So anyway, I'm getting super off topic here. And the whole point of all this is fast cars and fast life. So I love Ford versus Ferrari because it is about the people. The name of the movie was originally, the original script was called Go Like Hell, which I think kind of sucks as a name. So I'm glad they changed it and made it dramatic and brought in the verses and the competition. But there's a really heartwarming story behind all this. And in the end, when they are racing, and I'm not going to tell you what happens because I really want you to see it and I want you to tell me what you think about it. When they are racing in the end, their Ford is like kicking ass. Okay. They're doing so well, and Ferrari is shaking their heads. But there's a pivotal moment where Ken Miles or Christian Bale has to decide whether or not to be a team player. Does he want glory or not? Because he can go down in history on his own. And I love this. Speed. Are we team players? How does this all fit into the world right now? If you check out my magazine article in WS Engines, our latest issue, you'll get to read what I have to say about that. And essentially, I really believe we've got to step back and take a look at the engines in life that we are building. I think it's super, super important. Hi, Nina. I see you out there too. Thanks for watching. So, what kind of engines do we have in life? Well, what kind of engines would this car, the Ford car, versus something like a Ferrari, be modeled on? If you look at life, well, let's take a look at engines in our oceans. How are we treating all the exhaust and the fuels? So, for example, when there are dumpings and we're polluting and we're doing all these things because the engine of consumerism, the engine of life is saying, hey, you know what, I'd rather just have the convenience of having a water bottle and, just taking that water bottle with me instead of using something that's reusable, knowing that I am taking a stand and I'm also protecting the engine of Earth. So I think these are things that we all care about more. If you take a look at clothing, I don't know if you've seen Stella McCartney's clothing line now. She can do a completely recycled shoe that's pretty rad. It's really cool. So I love seeing people out there that are finding a way economically to produce a really cool product that's sustainable. And it's an engine of change because it's changing the way we do business. I think it's super important and I think people care. And I know I'd be willing to pay more for it. And I don't know what you guys think. I see Jackie loved this movie too. Cool. It really, really is a really cool metaphor for life. And again, I said this at the beginning, and I don't know if you guys are Matt Damon fans or not. Christian Bale is so easy on the eyes. I just love everything about his accent. There's just something so great about him in this movie. And you saw in the trailer, he's got a son too. So there's something about the legacy as well of the earth. So that's probably enough about the movie. I don't think I could promote it anymore. I forgot at the beginning I wanted to do a little tribute to, and this is a tribute to Carol. Carol is a lady that I met a few years ago at TIFF. That's a huge moviegoer, and she's gravely ill. And I thought, you know what, tonight I want to, and I know this is a lighter night, but I want to make this a tribute to Carol. She's a beautiful woman. So I really thought that that was great. And I see a couple of comments here. Yeah, we can make sustainable products. So I think that's really good. But I think in the larger engine of life, one of the things I really wanted to talk about is time. I don't know about you, but COVID hit, and I probably said this before. I felt like I was, and it's not to diminish how serious the health issues and the risks are, and the economic impact that it's had, and the racial divides that have also created this incredible tension and anger and fear. But I sort of escaped to the movies. I watched everything I could on Netflix. I joined Hulu. I've got HBO on the go, HBO regular. I've got every single streaming channel that you could imagine having. I signed up for everything because it became a way for me to throw myself into movies. And the cool thing, just like on Womanscape about movies, is that when you watch a movie, all those little things fire up in your brain and you ask yourself questions about how it relates to you, whether or not you know it. That's what happens with any kind of story. And so when you watch this movie, you physically get into it, but you start thinking about the relationship you have with your kids. You start thinking about time. You start thinking about competition. Have you been in a race with your career? Did you start off in your 20s and 30s saying, I am going to like kick the world? I am going to be on top. I'm going to be the best of the best. And then stuff happens along the way, and maybe it takes you down or prevents you from climbing as fast as you thought you were going to climb. And you kind of say, hey, is it worth it? So there's a lot of really great questions that Ford versus Ferrari brings out. Yeah, not to mention, I don't know, all the stuff I said about Matt and Christian. I even like the cowboy hats and the scene and the warm weather and where they do the track testing and everything else about it. So, all right, so let's move from there then. I see a couple of thumbs up. Thanks, Amy. So where do we go with this for engines of change? I'm going to take this and maneuver into the female body and take the engine from the car, and I want you to imagine that engine is you. So we've got a great article in our magazine called Women Take the Wall. And it's about a group of women. And it starts by saying, don't be fooled by the cellulite on these legs. And I love that beginning because I see a million creams out there to get rid of flipping dimples and all that stuff. Somehow, like we're all measuring how shiny and perfect our engines are. Is my hair right? Gosh, I haven't done my eyebrows. It's been months for nails, whatever. We worry about what our engine looks like. Sometimes too much to the point that we're not thinking about the performance of the engine. So what I love about this article about women that take the wall is it's a group of women, two South African women that decide. One of them has this near-death experience. She has an asthma attack, and she's a marathon runner, and she almost dies. She says, you know what, I got to change my whole philosophy on this. I'm not going to be training to do 26 and a half miles. I'm instead going to do something else. I'm going to use my body as an engine for change. So she gets a bunch of her girlfriends together, and they do this, 90-kilometer walk in this beautiful area in South Africa. And then she ends up moving to Beijing, and she wants to keep the club going. So this year in 2020 in February, they had planned to do the Beijing Wall. But with COVID, they had to change their plans, and they ended up doing something along one of the rivers. So it changed things. But I love the idea of your body as being an engine for change. If you're an athlete, you already know this. And also just as a human being, how healthy do we feel? Do we feel good about ourselves? I was just telling one of my friends today, I am going to see if I can do this. I am sipping on some sort of canned sparkly bubbly today. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try to fuel my engine for a couple of weeks without wine. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try. Maybe I'll post little progress reports. Yes, let's have a little clap for that. I might not be clapping. I don't know if we've got something that's like a thumbs down because Erica and my good pals out there know I love a crisp glass or a glass of crisp Sauvignon Blanc at the end of the day. So, but I'm going to give it a go and I'm going to see what I can do for my engine and fueling it. But that's not to take away from the really powerful part of your body as well. Not only physically are you powerful, mentally, and then your heart. And I think, anyone that will tell you they've been successful or they're happy, it all comes from here. You can push your passion if you really care and you really want to make something happen. It comes from your heart. That I'm thinking of people out there. Nina, that's a great artist. Of course, Erica, that's a great artist. Everything comes from and stems from passion and the inspiration you take from the world. And the world is an engine, of course, for our pickings in many ways and for our driving, but we are the ones behind the wheel, and we can make those choices about who's driving and how we're going to drive. Um, Little side joke in here, cameraman, my Wilson man. We have this like running little joke here now that I do like to go fast. So if I know the speed limit is 45, I'm always pushing the edge and I'm probably going over a little bit. Not on a side street where there's kids or anything dangerous, but I do. I push the edge and, that's kind of the way it is. My Wilson drives like he's a grandpa and I love him, but he's slow and he reminds me, hey, Rose, it's all about the journey. It's all about the journey. And I know there's truth in that. If I speed and I get caught or I burn myself out in life, I'm really just making things, worse for myself. So there's no fun in that. So here's the deal. So how do we move then from engines of the body? We know it can be heart. We know it's head. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm going to say heart rules. Physically, it does because if your heart stops beating, there's nothing else in the gas tank, right? If it's not going. So you can be the smartest person in the world, and we've all met them, super bright people that are kind of dumb. They just don't see life. They don't understand kind of what is important. And I know that's for all of us to decide, but it would be a super lonely life for me if I was racing to the top and doing it by myself. So working with people like Erica and Pilar and Mark and Jackie and Alex, these people make your journey worthwhile. They make it count. So let's zip into something now where I'm going to just kind of rifle off some of the engines of change with other women. Those of you in the audience, you're all engines of change. Anything you've ever done in life has affected other people. So you are an engine of change, whether it's consciously or not. If you have a baby, you've changed the population on the planet. If you've gotten married, if you've loved your mother and made her feel like she's a worthy person and you're happy that she gave birth to you, any of those things are on a very, very simple level an engine of change. But I'm talking in the magazine WS Engines about women that make very conscious decisions that they are going to change something they see as broken or not working, even if it's their own lives. So, a quick little rambling about who those people are. This week, if you've checked out our social media feed, you've seen that our engine of change is Tamaya Naji. And I don't know if she's watching tonight, but this woman she's fighting an engine of 40 million human trafficked people. It's a $1 billion industry. She is one woman who was trafficked when she left her hometown of Budapest and came to Toronto and was met by a couple of guys at the airport, and she was thinking she was going to be a babysitter or a nanny, and she was quickly trafficked into a ring of nightclubs and men and hotels. It was horrific. And so she underwent this ordeal and managed to escape, only to be homeless and to have nothing. And I think I told this story before. She finds herself lying in a field saying, you know what, God, that's it. I can't get up anymore. I've done it over and over and over. And what is there for me? And she hears this little voice in her head. And I'm really big on voices, as you know, not because I'm crazy or schizophrenic, but because I think that we all have that little Fred Flintstone kind of conscience or something in there that tells you to think twice about something or to follow some mysterious instinct, if you will. And so she gets up. And if you fast forward, this happened in 1998. It's now 2020. And she's on the cusp of she's launching webinars and working with companies. She's the CEO of a social enterprise company, and she employs women that have been trafficked and gives them skills. And she's training the law enforcement across Canada. So Tamaya lying on the ground those years before, never would have thought. So she's one of our featured women in the magazine, and it just gets better. We've got about 10 of them. There's a woman, Sherry Franklin, I've talked about, and she came on the show. And she talks about intuition and your hidden gifts. I'm going to just say it's a great article because I wrote it. Um, but she's in the magazine, and you hear what she has to say about following that voice and how you are your engine. I cannot talk about engines of change without talking about our feature article. That's written. Thank you very much. We could have a clap of hands with that for Erica Hilton. Hey, so Erica, I so love you for this article. Okay, you're getting a horn too. I love it. So here's what I love. We are having fun over here. We really are. And it's hard for me to keep a straight face, except that I love this article. And this article is about Christina, who started as a marine biologist. And she discovered through her love of camera and taking pictures, that pictures told stories. And these stories were a way to bring attention to marine life, what she really cared about and what she saw being destroyed in the world. And so, fast forward, this desire to take pictures and to speak to the world and to advocate for marine life and our environment has made Christina one of the top National Geographic photographers and probably one of the top environmental photographers in the world. She is a She's Mercedes representative. They sponsor her and support what she does as she travels around the world, drawing attention to this. And I love Christina, not just because of that and because we all have to care about our earth. She's also the voice for Indigenous peoples, and she's also the voice for women and girls that don't have a voice in the world. And, it's up to all of us to voice for the voiceless and bring them in so they have a voice. So, Christina and Erica, phenomenal article. I have some fun stuff in there too. You've met our cake artist last week when we did our Sipping on Stories and we debuted our podcast. If you haven't subscribed, I'm going to become kind of robotic on this. Hit the subscribe button, give us a 5-star rating. It's called Sipping on Stories. I hope you'll love it. I'm just starting. I'm going to get better, but I think they're entertaining, and the people that you hear from and you hear their story, they're all change makers. This week, we are featuring Dr. Jay Kumar, who talks about happiness, and tomorrow we're promoting Dr. Bronwyn King, and she's fighting the tobacco industry. So if you haven't figured it out yet, these are massive problems in the world that change makers are fighting, and all of them are just like you and me. They are people going about their regular day and their regular business that see something and decide that they want to make a little change. So that's kind of my segue into, if you've ever wanted to do something different, now's a good time. It's a really good time. We've got time to think. Things are a little slower, I think. Most of us are taking a little bit of time. There's always going to be pressure. You can make time for it. But if there's anything at all, whether it's any kind of food that you love that you can't find on a shelf, there are ways for you to figure out how to do that. And if you want coaching on it, I have to tell you, over the 3 years I've been doing this, I think I've found women in almost every industry But it's even easier than that. If you are on a platform like LinkedIn, you can go and search for people, message them. Women are fantastic about helping other women. They are. And I know there's women out there that will say, a man's more likely to help me than a woman. It's really competitive out there. I think a lot has changed, and there are a lot of great networking groups where women really do care. This one here really cares, and everyone in the Womanscape team really cares. And I talk about this using the word woman a lot, but don't forget the word man is inside the word woman. And so it is a collaborative thing, and we need to have women and men working together. Yeah, we really do. I'm doing a shout out for a second because I see the people that are in the audience. And, when there's only a few people, it can get kind of intimidating talking to a camera. But you know what? I'm reminded all the time that the whole reason for doing any kind of change in life is even if it's only one person, it doesn't matter. You're having a conversation. So we're having a conversation. Um, so what else to say? I don't know. I just want to promote the Engines of Change. You can download this on Sunday. If you haven't subscribed to our womanscape.com newsletter, please do. I want you to dig deep and spend $2.99. It's on sale from $3.99. It's the price of, I don't know, can you get a Starbucks coffee for $2.99? Maybe you can, but it's not much more. You will be inspired. This thing is so beautiful. If you order the print copy, you sit it on your coffee table, your nightstand beside your bed, and you sip on this slowly. You ingest it and you see these women. They're all so different. I've got a woman in there that's a plumber from Trinidad. This woman came to America 19 years old. 19 years old. She had gone to trade school because her parent had passed away and she didn't have the money to go to law school. And it's obvious that this woman would have been an incredible lawyer. She's super bright. So she comes to America when she's 19 and she's got the trade of plumbing, but how does she break in? It's hard because she's a woman and she's also a Black woman. And I know that there's a lot of talk out there. It's still harder. It's harder for women to break into a male-dominated area. And it's even harder if you are a woman who is coming from a diverse background. You're coming outside of the country as well and learning how to navigate this. So these are the kind of stories. They're great. You're going to want to see everything that we have up there on Womanscape. We've got a brand new rebranding. That sounds brand new, shiny. So definitely check us out. I can't think of much else to say. I'm going to say a quick hello to Mona. If you came on late, please rewind and watch the beginning of this and check out the Ford versus Ferrari film. And I would love to hear from you. I'm in my beautiful loungy area here, and I'm thinking it worked so well last week on Thursday night with our Sipping on Stories release that I'm kind of feeling good on stage here. I've got my little table. Eventually, I'll have a glass of wine. I've got a loungy feel with my curtains, and I want to invite you and friends in, and I want to have conversations. So send me some notes. Get busy in our community forum for Womanscape. And I just want you to know that I'm here cheering for you. Our whole team is cheering for you. I want to wish you the best. I want to wish you a great week. And I'm going to say, don't forget, it's the journey. You don't have to speed to get there. If you do like speed, it's good. There's all kinds of ways you can enjoy that. Okay. Take care, everyone. I hope you have a great, great night. And I cannot forget, this is the end where we say, that's a wrap. Take care. Bye for now.